It's kind of weird that this season the WRC has shorter mid-season breaks than F1, but let's talk about the next round of the WRC. It's coming up next week. It is the Croatia Rally, back after a 1-year absence on the ERC calendar. Here we go. And starting off with the entry list, it's a reduced field this time around, only 9 Rally 1 cars, with Elfyn Evans leading the field. Oliver Solberg will be second on the road, followed by Takamoto Katsuta, winner last time out in the Safari Rally. After that, you have Adrian Formeau, Sami Pyeri, and Thierry Neuville. Then 7th on the road is last year's Croatia Rally winner, John Armstrong, just ahead of teammate Josh McAlean, and the Rally 1 field is rounded out by Hayden Paddon, 2-time European Rally Championship champion. In WRC2, the field is led by Leo Rossell, with Rupa Korhonen next on the entry list. It's 3 different cars from 3 different entries for Roberto Dapra, and then 4 from 4 with Arthur Pellemorg in the Hyundai i20N. Then you have Eric Kammerly in a Fabia, you have the first of the TOG Sports for Andreas Mikkelsen, and you have Taylor Gill in his second start of the season. The Rally Star graduate is doing a couple of different appearances this year in WRC2. I think he's expected to appear in Finland with this GR Yaris as well. Then you have the 2 Lancias that we haven't seen since Rally Monte Carlo, Nikolai Grosjean ahead of Johan Rossell. Toyota Spain for Alejandro Cachon, who you can probably expect to see in Islas Canarias in a couple of weeks' time. Then the second TOG Sport for Emil Lindholm. Then we have the 2 M Sport entries for Romer Jørgensen and Mille Johansson, the 2 JWRC graduates, with Jørgensen also being a Rally Star graduate. Print Sport will be running the Toyota GR Challenge program for Yuki Yamamoto, and then we have another GR Yaris for Kaitan Katanovic. It's great to see the Pole competing here. He made his first start of the season at the Safari. Then we have Pablo Sarrazin behind the wheel of a Citroën C3. Was entered, I believe, under Iron Lynx last year, but now it's under his own name. Bernard Ten Brink is next with a GR Yaris. Then Willem Podran, the first of the local entries for this event. And then you've got Uyghur Soyu with a Skoda Fabia. Johan Kefferbuck with Ilka Minor alongside in a Toyota GR Yaris. Henk Vossen, who we've seen pop up here, there, and everywhere in an i20N. And that rounds out the Championship Rally 2 field. We have some other Rally 2s on the entry list as well, though. So we have, for example, Stefan Guttig with an i20N, William Zanotto with a Skoda Fabia RS, Eris Barotti with a Skoda Fabia. It's not clear what the Croat has for the Fabia here. I don't know, it might just be a previous spec R5, might be a Rally 2 Evo, but it's not an RS. And then you've got the Slovenian Mitja Klemenchik with a Fabia RS. That rounds out our Rally 2 field. And then for Rally 3, starting off with Matteo Fontana, then Giovanni Rossi, then Nicholas Otto with Hugo Bagalej as a co-driver. Then we're getting into our junior field. Carla Karlberg, Levi Lassala, Raul Hernandez, Ali Turkan, Gil Membrado, Karim Kazaz, and Craig Rayhill from Ireland with the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy. So you've got a whole bunch of varieties in terms of backgrounds, in terms of the talent, but all of them entered for this event in WRC 3 are going to be entered with a Fiesta. There is one other Rally 3 in the field. There is a Clio, but it's not entered for championship points. It's Roman Soltron. With the field being rounded out with Rally 4s and Rally 5s. Tomas Vaten behind the wheel of a Fiesta Rally 4. Vlekoslav Chichko behind the wheel of a 208 Rally 4. A Clio Rally 4 for Igor Tomljanovic. You have a Ford Fiesta Rally 4 for Igor Mandic. Catherine Radulescu behind the wheel of a Clio Rally 4, and then a Clio Rally 5. Last but by no means least in this 64-car entry list for Czech driver Viktor Meckel. Then as for the stages, there are going to be quite a few changes when you look at the route compared to previous editions. In total we have 300 competitive kilometres spread over 20 stages, with 800 kilometres of liaison. Starting off with the shakedown, it is new for this year, the Sarshoni test. 3.44 kilometres. It looks like it's a bit of a climb, but actually it mostly is downhill over the course of the stage. Some twisting and turning, some tight corners, some fast sections as well. Good opportunity for drivers to stretch their legs. Friday's loops will open up with the Wach test, 14.12 kilometers, again, all new to drivers. Starts off at a relatively even part before dropping down a couple of kilometers in, and then you have a big climb up with the height of the stage, the highest point being about 800 meters above sea level, before a small descent through some tight hairpins to round out the test. Lake Botaniga Motovan is next, 13.78 kilometers, again all new. Start off around sea level, around the lake. Climb up into the hills, around some very steep hills. There are some parts that are going to be faster than others, some that are going to be tighter than others, but yeah, you end up with a sharp descent to round out the test. Third stage in each loop is the Beram Seril test, which is 23.78 kilometers. Lots of highs, lots of lows. Not any particular extreme change in altitude compared to last time, or in terms of the elevation above sea level, but there will be some parts towards the middle of the stage as you are weaving amongst all of the hills where you'll see them dipping towards valleys. There are some nice tight hairpin sections as well. And then rounding out Friday's stages is the Uchka test, which is again an all new test. Starts 500 meters above sea level, climbs up through a run through many hairpins. It starts with a sort of underpass of the A8 motorway. Then it climbs up to a peak nearly a kilometre above sea level before going into a sharp descent towards the town of Opatia along the coast. Should be quite picturesque. And whilst Friday's tests are going to be relatively straightforward with the Autodrom Grobnik having a remote service partway through the day, Saturdays is going to be trickier because it has a remote service in the city of Karlovac. So what you'll see is the first stage of the first loop is the last stage of the second loop. You go in reverse order. You go from the base out and then all the way back again. So the first and last stage of Saturday is going to be the Platak test. It is one that we have seen before. We saw it in Croatia Rally for 2024. And it is going to be one of the ones that is familiar to a lot of drivers. I believe it's also run in the same direction as it was in previous years. So whilst there will be some drivers who are familiar, for example, with some of the Friday tests, most likely veteran local talents, this one is going to be something that's going to be familiar to most drivers. It was there in 24, it was there in 23, both times being run in the same direction. And I think the same for 2022 as well. Ravnagora, 10.13 kilometers. We've seen this in 24 and 23 as well, so for WRC drivers it's going to be a familiar piece of stage. Bit of a climb, bit of a drop, and then climb back up towards the end. It was serving on the Friday in 24 and the Saturday in 2023. Jaralski Stol's Vidova test is 22.48 kilometers. This one is going to be a tricky one. It is brand new. I don't believe it's been run before in any previous rallies either, and it starts off on a kind of B road and then climbs up around some hills, drops down near the A1 highway, and then runs along a river for a bit before climbing back up towards the end of the stage, passing over the A6. Then you end up with the final stage for Saturday. It's the one that ends the first loop and opens the second loop. It has featured in the WRC before. It featured in 24, 23, 22 and 2021, and I believe in all four occurrences it was in the same direction as well, the Petrikovo Burdo Zheshny Novaki test. 9.11 kilometers. It's quite flowing with a couple of more technical sections towards the end. Then Sunday's tests, we've got two stages run twice. First one is Bribir Novi Vidolowski, 14.17 kilometers, and it is a descent through a valley. It's a couple of kilometers from the coastline, but you're going to be looking at the hills. That's going to be a nice technical test as you see drivers weaving through the different hairpins and a couple of fast blasts, but they are downhill, so expect some drivers to be caught out by some deceptive braking points. That one, last run as part of a test back in 2010. And then the Alan Senge test, 14.56 kilometers, brand new. It ends right down near the coastline in Senge. This is going to be really cool because, again, most of it's downhill. It's along some main roads. There's some weaving, there's some hairpins here and there to break up some fast sections. So do expect some bits to be a bit deceptive for drivers as well. Now, as for a recap for 2024, it is going to be a tricky one. For example, Seb Ogier isn't there. Elfyn Evans was second, 9.7 seconds off of the win. Elfyn Evans has been good here in the past on previous editions as well. And Thierry Neuville was third on his way to the World Championship. Oid Tanak was fourth, Takakatsu to fifth. Then there was Andreas Mikkelsen in the third Hyundai. Then Gregoire Munster, then Adrien Fourmeau, who I think, wasn't it, got unlucky with damage. And ended up picking up 8 points on the Saturday and 5 points for the Power Stage win. In Rally 2, it was Grosjean from Roussel in the C3 Rally 2 with Pepe Lopez, Nicolas Chiemann, Ivan Brynildsen, Lauri Una, then Roberto Dapper, Linton, Armin Kramer and William Crichton. How many drivers have I named in that list in WRC2 who weren't there for it? I mean, likewise, look at Rally 3. Romain Jurgensen, Matteo Chatillon, Philip Cohn, Taylor Gill, Norbert Meyer, Roberto Black, Philip Podran, Tristan Charpentier. There are so few drivers who are returning in any of the classes, it makes it hard to make a prediction. Even if you consider, say, the 2025 edition that was part of the ERC, where, say, the event winner, John Armstrong, is now in a Rally 1 car. And many of the stages from 2025 didn't return for 2026. So in terms of ones to watch for this event, it is very tricky to say. Because I've just listed a lot of the things that could potentially be issues, but I didn't list one other one, which is going to be the first time for most of the competitors that they're going to be going into the Croatia Rally on Hankook rubber. Because Hankook is one of a handful of suppliers in the ERC, for example. The last two Croatia Rallies have been won on Pirelli rubber. So it will be tricky to figure out who's going to be up at the front, because it's going to be who gets the car right, who gets set up right, who gets an understanding of the tyres right. I would keep an eye on what John Armstrong does do this weekend, because he could do quite well. Like I said, he won the ERC event here. He's been good on these kinds of tarmac rallies before. I mean, he won 2 in a row to round out last year's ERC. But at the same time, it's the change from Rally 2 to Rally 1, the change from Pirellis to Hankooks. Elfyn Evans seems like a bit of a safe bet, but again, it's going to be the changes in terms of from Pirelli to Hankook. Someone like Oliver Solberg, who won Monte Carlo, could be a good shout. Or Taka Katsuta, who won last time out in the Safari, and the stages are going to be not dissimilar to his home rally in Japan, which he is also rapid at. So we could see really anything happen, and we can't rule out the Hyundais. Hayden Paddon will be trying to get up to speed with the Rally 1 car and the Hankook rubber, especially because this is going to be only his second start in a Rally 1 car. Whereas Adrien Fourmeau has been capable here in the past, and as has Thierry Neuville, though he has made a few mistakes in the past in the Croatia Rally. And when you have a look at Rally 2, I mean, the Lancia crews are good, but they could run into rotten luck. Take Monte Carlo as an example. At the same time, if you're looking for somebody who could be successful with Stellantis car, look no further than the first WRC2 car on the road, Leo Roussel. He could end up being in fine form. And if you were trying to figure out something for, say, WRC3, Fontana and Rossi. If you're trying to figure out someone for JWRC, that is really quite an open game. You can't really rule out any of the drivers in the JWRC for this one, because they all have some good pace here or there. They all have shown capabilities, if not on this surface, then in this car. Anything could happen. But that's that for this video, folks. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your feelings, let me know your predictions in the comment section down below. As always, thank you so much for watching and joining. Thank you so much for continued support. See you next weekend as we debrief from this whole rally. But until then, it's bye-bye for now.